Welcome to Brightly You Radiant Being, the show that wildly recognizes, encourages, and invests in the radiance we all carry so you can shine your brightest. We're just a couple of curious people interested in friendship, ideas, and personal development. This is a show that strives to speak to the curious, to those who long to explore new ways of thinking, reflecting, and being. Through sharing our experiences, friendship, and interests, we hope to impact you to step more brightly into yourself, inch by inch.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Tracy. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Every time we read through that, and we switch off, we each do essentially every other episode
Yeah.
almost. I'm always struck by something in there. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring right now. Like this time of year, I do want to get out more and explore.
I love that you can pick things out and that it works with the time of year. That is so cool.
Right. And I mean, and maybe it's just like where we're falling cyclically, where different things just kind of feel better, right? Just feel
Yeah.
more right, feel in line with the time. I mean, we're curious with everything we do, but how we display that curiosity or how we explore is going to show up in different ways. And definitely for the
Right.
climate we live in, we're a little limited at times to what that looks like as
Oh
well.
my gosh. And if anyone is listening in real time, well, it's not real time that you're listening in because it's
As published.
it's our future. But as we're recording this, we're on what, like day 4 or 5 of high 90s, 100 degrees.
And not much of an end in sight. So
Right, right. But I mean, we are going to be talking about, we're not actually even in summer yet, even though we are with these temperatures, but we are going to be talking about the wheel of the year now headed towards summer solstice, Letha,
in the
or
northern
midsummer. Yes, in the northern hemisphere. Sorry about that.
I was like,
Um,
I check our stats. Nobody's listening in Australia. I mean, if
you
you
don't
are,
know though, in the future, they could be
there we go.
listening
There we go.
from Australia.
Our listeners are like where we are and above.
Yeah. But
We welcome all hemispheres though,
we
not to
do.
make anyone
All
left out.
hemispheres are welcome. So here in the northern hemisphere, it is our first solstice of the year. So we have two solstices every year, summer solstice and winter solstice. So we are coming up upon the summer solstice, and we love to share and to just try to like convince you to think about different ways you can mark the occasion and how you can live cyclically. Last episode we were talking about, was that the last episode that we did, the new moon?
It was.
Yeah, so the new moon, and now we're talking about the summer solstice, so we're really in that just kind of cyclical thing.
Yeah, I
So
know sometimes, we do talk a lot about more of the metaphysical things and
mhm,
fairies and tarot and things like that. But for a personal development podcast, and we'll get in depth into this later in the show, but this time of year is great for a check-in. This is a really good
perfect.
time.
Mhm,
It's mid-summer, mid-year. Essentially, June, we're in the 6th month of the 12 months of the year that we
mhm.
have. So these wheel of the year cycles, it's all about kind of living within the time period, the climate, the amount of light that you have, and just kind of the energies that are existing. And that can be applied to so many different areas of your life. You don't
Yeah,
have to be
so
fire
many.
dancers like us to capitalize and get something out of this episode. Although I hope to inspire you too, because it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. So just some like basic things around the summer solstice. It's typically around the 20th through the 22nd. It typically these occasions on the wheel of the year are about a 3 day, 2.5 day, 3 day occurrence.
Yeah,
So
time kind of stands still, right? Like
yeah,
you kind of have the same amount
I
of
love that.
daylight, or on the flip side of the year, darkness for like
Mhm.
nearly 3 days, which is
Yeah, so it's not just
cool.
like one day and then boom, you're
Mhm.
out. But yeah, so it's a festival of sunlight and gold. Like you are gold, of course, represents the sun, right? It's the going to be the it's the yes, thank you for
I dressed the part. I'm very
you
sunny
did
today.
appropriately.
If
That's
you're watching on
wonderful.
YouTube.
Yeah. So, of course, bonfires were lit and still can be lit. However, if the temperature remains up in the
Yeah,
high
pay attention to
90s,
your fire warnings. Your weather app
yeah,
should tell you, your local county
yeah,
should tell you.
exactly. But for this festival, the reason why there were or are bonfires set is because it represents the reflection of the sun. It's like here's the sun on Earth, right? So another thing is the oak tree. I'm not going to get deep into this, but the Celtic people, there was an oak king, oak, OAK, and then king, the oak tree king, right? So I won't go far down that path. But the Celtic name for oak is, pardon my Celt, is dur, Duir. And it
Which in
means
Irish could
doorway.
really be pronounced
Yeah,
anyway.
of course. It's probably pronounced um doorway or something, right? Because it actually means doorway. So we're passing from the first half of the year through this doorway into the second half of the year. And so no one wants to hear this, but the days will be waning, right? um and moving towards the next solstice, winter solstice. So this is a time to have fun
Which is half a
outside.
year away.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I know, Amy, stop it. Okay. So but have fun, enjoy this time of the year outside. um Another symbol is mistletoe, which I know seems so weird, but I'm going to get into the oak king again.
I want to hear
At
it. This
this
is,
time of the
I'm
year,
curious, Amy. Let's explore this topic.
so the oak king now has been sort of reigning right during this time of the year, and then on the solstice, the mistletoe, which actually, if it's growing on an oak tree, is even more potent.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. So that's super cool. So then the Oak King sort of hands over like the reins to the Holly King, which is represented by the mistletoe. But I want people to think, especially if you live in Minnesota, I don't know, maybe other states have winter carnivals. And maybe, I don't know if it happens during our summer carnival, but during the winter carnival, when it's like the king of the winter carnival is sort of like taken down by, oh, I already said his name. What was his name?
Vulcan.
Vulcan, right? Because he's now like he represents the fire and
Fire.
the heat. So they're actually doing what would be represented in
And
the
it
winter
makes sense.
solstice.
St. Paul had a
Yes,
very large Irish settlement
yes,
or
yes,
population, and I believe the Vulcan traditions that we follow in our parades and things like that all throughout the year are based in Celtic.
yes. So that's just the opposite. That would be,
Yep.
the Holly King giving over to the Oak King. So, anyways,
Yeah,
mistletoe.
so
There
that
you go.
story reminds me, one of my favorite content creators, and I know I've brought up, I have a crush, a bit of a intellectual crush on this man, but John Green, so author, podcaster,
Yeah.
blog brother, many great things. He shares that his daughter talks about how in the winter you feel like it's never going to be light again, and in the summer you feel like it's never going to be cold. And like what it
Oh.
like I don't even think she's 10 yet, so like that's profound to begin with, but how true this time of a year. And so, as much as you want to be like, oh, I'm so sorry for bringing this up, I think it's important to remember that, we only have so many lazy, hazy days of summer left,
Right.
and light that comes with it. And
Yeah.
what are things that we can use the light for? Or how can we use the light to inspire us? Or what are things that we have a limited amount of time to do? And how can we create goals and plans around that? Which listen
Mhm.
to, episodes 2 through 24 for some.
I love it.
But this
I think
midsummer, this mid time of year, really, like the sun is at its highest, and a lot of these wheel of the year celebrations that I brought up are about the amount of light that we have. And so
exactly.
if you're somebody who
Because they were first, I mean, people did not have
Electricity.
electricity, right? So of course things were dependent on the amount of light during the day, what they
And a
could
lot
get
of it
done.
is around planting and farming, and there's so
Hmm.
many things right now, ways you can mark this time, if just flowers, right? Flowers have so much
Yeah.
significance. And I'm not a master gardener by any means, but I have to imagine sunflowers are starting to really start to grow,
Mhm.
because they need that sun to survive. They have to face the
Yeah.
sun,
Yeah.
and now they have a whole lot of it.
They have a whole lot of sun right now. Yeah. So, I mean, I thought it might be fun just to say how we're celebrating it ourselves. So, since you were just kind of talking about like what can you do in the sun, do you just want to go first and just tell
Oh,
us
sure.
like what are ways you're celebrating the solstice this year?
Well, I'll start out with my kind of Virgo super lame organized way. Shout out to my fellow Virgos who, aren't insulted by feeling lame by this, but truly own it. No, so I do a mid-year retreat or a mid-year check-in, or at least I intend to. It's even if we weren't doing show prep for the solstice in advance of it, a couple weeks before it, early June is kind of when I am like checking in with myself, like, how's life? Are you happy with how it's going? Like trying not to get too caught up in the gardening or the festivals. And this time, this year is a little easier to do that than others, but kind of checking in with myself, like, are you achieving what you wanted to set out to achieve, and what needs to change, before the end of the year, if we're using a calendar year as our marker.
Yeah.
um, and so for me, I kind of have to have a confession. We had an episode a little while back called Brighten Up. I think it was in February. And it was all around, instead of a glow up, like, how do I want to brighten up my character, right? Like, how do I want to, just personal development, essentially, who do I want to
Mhm.
be and show up in this world, beyond just my physical appearance, which a glow up tends to be centered around. And around the time of the recording of that, or just after, I got hit with really bad depression,
Mhm.
regular depression combined with seasonal depression combined with isolation, quarantine depression. And as I've shared before, I've been doing magnet therapy for that. And so I'm starting to come out of it. So I kind of feel like I started the first week of May. So between Beltane and now, I feel like I've kind of been growing with the sun,
Yeah.
and my energy is still really waning. I have to just remind myself where I'm at. Like sometimes with these goals, it's not all about ambition, but about an honest check in with yourself and kind of
Yes.
looking at your subconscious. So, like, why do I want these things that I say I want? And if I haven't achieved them or even worked towards them a little bit in June, do I really want them?
Really good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so by having, I kind of start out not Debbie Downerish, but just like really honest and authentic with myself. Like, what is it that we wanted to do?
Mhm.
Why did we want to do it? Do we still want to do it? What maybe has to happen first, if it's still gonna happen? Is it just kind of timing that needs to change? But then I come up with um my intentions for the second half of the year, because this is a great time of year for manifesting, if you believe in that, whether it's The Secret or just setting your intentions out to the universe, something like that. But you have to do that check-in piece first. You have to do the shadow work stuff first. Episode 3, go check it out. But I want to make sure that whatever I'm manifesting, whatever intentions I'm sending out, really truly are right for me, and not 4 or 5 months ago Tracy.
So how do you do that then? Like, can you, not to get too in depth, but how do you know if it really is right for you, or if it's just something you've become so, like, sometimes I think some of my dreams, it's like, well, this was just what I expected to be. And so it must be right for me. So where, like, do you feel it in your body? Do you feel it in your gut? Do you feel like, how do you decide it's right for you?
Yes. Next question. No.
Okay, got it. Got it.
So for me, especially with the year that I've had, a
Yeah.
lot of procrastination, a lot of just not having mental or physical energy or things like that. With me, it's just about, it was raw honesty and really feeling my feelings, and accepting, or allowing the feelings of not necessarily failure, but like shame, regret, embarrassment, or even
Mm-hmm.
just like, God, another year has gone by and I still haven't done this.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking about, well, how do I want to feel? And does working towards that goal help me achieve that feeling? Because as I've shared, Ben Bergeron has a quote, happiness does not lie on the other side of success, right?
Right. Right.
Typically what happens is you work towards a goal and you work towards it and you work towards it. And if you haven't set a goal beyond that yet, you kind of reach that goal and you're just like, well, now what? Right. Not that you can't
Yeah.
celebrate and be excited, but it's the process, not the end result that we're
So
going for. Right.
something that I think I'm hearing, and stop me if I'm wrong, is you are checking in with yourself, like how do I want to feel? And then this thing that I'm doing, will it bring me that feeling? So you need to be super aware of what your feelings actually are and what they mean.
Mm-hmm. And with that too
Okay.
is, again, it's that honesty piece. If I want to be, XYZ with my finances at a certain point, or be traveling more than I am, which will require more finances, do I have it in me to hustle and change what I've been doing, or
Mm.
live in, so to speak, lack compared to what I have been doing? Am I
Mm-hmm.
prepared, um, for the uncomfortableness of new, right? Of
Okay.
changing my
Yeah.
routine, of, am I going to stick with it? That's part of self-care is, parenting yourself, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
these things, manifestation doesn't just happen because you throw your wishes into the wind. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a component you want
You
to
were, yeah, you were actually the first person who I'd ever heard that from, that parenting yourself. I'm having issues. Sorry. That parenting yourself wasn't just like, oh, here, little 6-year-old Amy, it's fine. It's also, oh, hey,
get off the
is
couch and
that
wash your
really what
face.
you want to be
Yeah.
doing?
Yep.
Because I thought you said you wanted to be doing this other thing.
Mhm.
And that sort of blew my mind.
And
But
but it's reparenting yourself in a way that's actually going to benefit you, right? Like,
yes,
you're in
that's
control of
yes.
it. It's not just taking on the voices of the
Right.
teachers
It's
and the
not, I'll
parents
give you
saying,
something to
and
cry about. Yeah.
exactly, it's not
Yeah.
more guilting yourself or more just, oh, just get up and do it.
So,
But
yeah. So you've got this really nice, I hate to use the word meaty because neither of us, um,
we're taking it back. We're taking the word
yeah. Yeah.
back.
We're taking the word back.
That's a different
Just this
episode.
really nice mid-year check-in that seems pretty profound.
And what I like about doing it this time of year is typically where it's a transition period, right? Like, you're no longer
Yeah.
in school. Like, I'm used to, even though I've been working full time for 20 years now, I
Mm-hmm.
still have these little mental breaks of spring break, summer break, winter break in my head, of like when I like to read certain types
Love
of
it.
books or
Yeah.
do certain
Yeah.
types of work. And so and a lot of us take vacations this time of year. So it's a good time
Mhm.
for like a 4-day vacation. Like, if you can't do it on or around the solstice, I used to use like the 4th of July weekend, because I work
Mhm.
for an organization that gives you that day off. um and so it's just, you can kind of do it any point during the summer, but it's better for me than New Year's, or it sets me up for New Year's, because New Year's is so full of Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's celebrations, and
Mhm.
trying to start the work and implement. So if I kind of do a check-in point, I try and do quarterly, but the mid-year is the
Yeah.
heavy one.
Well, I feel like there's some space around this time of year, right? You're not worried about all these different celebrations and things going on and what's expected of you. So there's space to be able to take that time to look at your life, or look at just even what this year and what you want from this year, or
And
your intention.
what I like about this time of year is I can go for a nature walk. I can,
Mhm.
talk to the trees. I can go for a hike. I can,
Yeah.
just kind of soak in that nature piece of it too, while I kind of collect my thoughts. But then I also, one thing that I've started doing is, one of my favorite Kundalini instructors, Nicole Nardoni, has an e-course, Kundalini yoga for manifestation. And I've been doing it every year. Because once you pay for it, you get it, right? You get
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not going to say lifetime access because I don't know what her overall structure is set up for her
Yeah.
structure. But I paid for it once, and then I got the course materials, and there are some private YouTube videos that I have access to. And so I've done it every year since. And the first
Nice.
year I did it, I had some pretty magical stuff happen, which is probably what helps me
Wow.
continue doing it. But a part of this is not just doing Kundalini yoga that, makes you feel good and is all sparkly and fun and summery, but it's also like clearing your subconscious. Like you might feel like junk while you're doing this because you're clearing out the junk, but you have to be able to feel those emotions to release and get
Yeah.
rid of them.
Hey, this is just a little aside. When you plant a seed and when the seedling first comes up, the first thing that comes up is actually dirt because the dirt is being pushed away. I didn't make that up. I heard it from someone, but the dirt is being pushed away by the seedling, by the
Yeah.
growth. So just remember that when you're going through transitions, growing anything, the first thing that's going to come up is the crud, the dirt, the bad feelings to make way for the better stuff.
Yeah. And to me, it's kind of, it's a week long e-course if you do it in the order she recommends. And so for me, it's, setting aside that time every morning to do both the yoga practice and then the journaling and the intentions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like all in one day, I have to figure out what my junk is, accept where I am, and then decide where I want to be, right? Like,
No one better be doing that because
it's
that's
not just like, oh, I took Friday off of work, I got to figure this out. So it allows for that process, and then there is celebration built into it. So a lot of the stuff we
yeah,
talk about, like
cool.
I'll have a bonfire with it. Last year I did a nature walk, and there is a hidden fairy garden in a very public park that I discovered my first year living here. And so I did leave offerings. I do that because to me, it's like that physical representation of everything I'm thinking in
Yeah.
my head, right?
So
Every
you're saying that's something you're going to do
it's
this year
something I'm
for
gonna,
summer
well,
solstice too.
probably, if it feels right, like you were saying, like if it feels
Yeah.
in my gut. But so there's like different types of offerings you can do, and in the fairy garden, if it's magical and fun to leave sweet treats for the fae, and then also like, you take these rocks or different colored foods or things like that, and either you're releasing what no longer serves you or calling in certain things, then you're giving it
Mm-hmm.
back to the earth. And so I just kind of like, it's a release, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
breath. And then I also believe in the magic behind it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
however it serves you. But when I came back from my walk last year, there was an emperor moth that had taken up the archway of the door to my home to rest until evening,
Wow.
because I believe they're nocturnal. He stayed there from 10 a.m. Until about 7 or 8 p.m. In
So
fact,
cool.
I was watching him all day, taking videos, pictures, protecting
Mm-hmm.
him. Just I've never seen one alive and up close. I've seen it at nature museums, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I felt like for what I was asking for and for where I was, that was my sign. And even if it wasn't, I was chosen and I felt special. Like it was just a really beautiful thing to see up close, to the point where I went and got my, almost 40-year-old neighbor. I saw him in his garage later that day. And he just kind of looked at me, and I was a little trepidatious when walking towards him. And he's like, "What's up? What's going on? Like, what do you need? How can I help?" And I was like, "Do you want to see the coolest thing I've ever seen in real life?" He's like, "I do." I was like, "It's on my back door." And so he followed me. And then he took pictures of it because it was really cool. But that was all on the solstice, and it just felt really
Wow.
magical and nice. And
Super magical.
you can't have those moments if you're not going outside.
Right.
And then I like to share those moments too. So I immediately grabbed the first human being I saw and was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you need to experience magic as well."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
didn't even know it was an emperor moth at the time. I spent the day scrolling through moths and
Mm-hmm.
butterflies of Minnesota, like over 300 of them on this website, trying to find out what it was. And here it's one of the most common symbols in witchcraft and magic, and I already had it on so many things that I own.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But and then so with that, some other basic things, I went and bought a grill, which the same neighbor remarked is a really odd thing for a vegetarian to be assembling right now.
You can totally grill
I'm
vegetables.
gonna grill an avocado, man. But so I'm gonna be outside. I'm gonna be grilling my food. You know what? I could do it in winter, but I'm not going to. I do a lot of tarot. Just look on Pinterest or Biddy Tarot, or a lot are on Instagram right now for summer solstice or
Mhm.
midsummer letha spreads. And I've been doing, there's so many, and I don't want to overwhelm myself, my guides, or take advantage of the universe anyways, be doing them all in one day. So I've been doing about one a day as it comes to me, as I think about it, as I sit down and the deck is there, and I'm getting very similar messages, and in some instances the same damn card.
Yes. Yes.
And then with that, I do
Yes.
have a small altar in my bedroom where I used to only change it kind of with the 4 general seasons, and now I change it with the wheel of the year if I think about it. And so now is time to kind of turn it over, and I write on a little pretty postcard like my intentions for that season there. And put that up, light a candle with it, all that type of
I
stuff.
love that. I
Yeah,
have
so I
never
have some
done that.
practical, I have
Yeah.
some magical, but what do you
Yeah. Well, I definitely am doing, and I've done a mid-year reflection before, but never tied to the summer solstice. It was just like,
Mm,
it's the middle of the year. It's time to look at how's it going, where
yeah.
it started, how's it going, what I expect. So I'm super excited that this year I'm actually paying attention to that and using that as my guidepost. Um, so I'm going to do the same thing. I haven't quite figured out like what that will look like, but I will, and that'll be fine. Um, I I am definitely want to do something for the fairies because, I just like to do something for the fairies. And I want to see if I can find mead. So mead is like a wine made from honey. And I know I'm vegan. I'm a bad vegan. I eat honey, but I try to just do it like local, small bee farms. But I don't know
I
why.
bet
I
there's
had
a
mead
local
once.
winery that makes
Yeah,
that. There has to be.
I know. And I've had mead once. It was delightful. And I just thought, oh, that would be cool. And I could even like pour some out on the ground for the fairies. Um, I bought sparklers.
I love how you giggle like, oh my
I
God,
know.
I'm not
Well,
supposed to have
I know.
these.
I didn't even, it was not my intent to buy sparklers, but I was in the store and I saw sparklers and I was like, if that's not a perfect summer solstice thing, I don't know what is. Forget 4th of July. I'm doing them on the summer solstice.
I love
And
it.
I am going to remember being a little kid with a sparkler
Writing your
and
name.
writing your name. I'm going to write my intentions with the sparkler.
Ooh,
Oh,
you
yeah.
need a couple.
Yeah. So, I will bring some over for you.
I'm excited.
I am also, I've got some herbs that are doing pretty well in the garden, and I want to try and make smoke bundles. So, like what typically you might see in a store as a smudge stick, but I don't like to call it that. So, I want to use my fresh herbs and try and create something for me to then use as a cleansing smoke stick type of thing.
Another way you could use that for these celebrations is to bless your bonfires or your chimney fires or
I
anything like that.
could. Thank
What I've
you.
heard from people, and it makes so much sense, is once you bless it, don't let people throw their trash in there to burn it,
Right.
right? Like it's
Right. So
now
no
your
cigarette butts.
yeah. But yeah, so because I had been, when my white sage bundle sticks had, gotten to the point where they're super tiny and the string won't stay around and you're just,
Mhm.
lighting little ones, I'll save those and that's what I'll put in the fire. Or I have like little
Your fire probably smells really good.
it does. I
Yeah.
also do, oh, what are they called? It's incense, but it's like sap from trees. So it's like frankincense and myrrh, like those types of
Resin.
incense. Resin, thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So I have some of that I typically burn in the house, and I'll go and I'll sprinkle that on the fire too.
Nice. I love that. I'm going to do that with the herbs. So,
Especially, if you are taking the more magical route, like it's just nice to set sacred space, ask for, only the, guides, helpers, and beings that are interested in your highest good and the
mm,
highest good of all concerned. Especially some people, if you do believe fairy lore, there is good fae and bad fae. And so by blessing your fire, you're set.
you can bless your fire. Don't thank the fae, though. Don't thank the fae. I'm just saying. Okay. So another weird thing that I'm doing is I'm going to make my feet pretty. I am going to give myself a pedicure because what I've been trying to do lately is have my feet on the earth,
Ooh,
barefoot on the
earther.
earth more and more. And so I figure if I do a pedicure, it's also sort of it's a way to just be like honoring. My pretty feet are honoring the pretty earth. And so
Oh,
and plus I get to do whatever the heck I want because there you go.
because
But
I'm an adult with adult money.
darn it. Um it's one of those things too that like if you're just like, well, I'm not sure, like have a like you said, you have a grill, have a cookout. There's your bonfire, there's your community coming together, right? Whoever that is, whether
Yeah.
it's your family, your neighbors, friends, whatever. But I also just wanted to say too that Tracy and I are going to be doing something. We're doing it a little bit. Wait, what day are we doing it on? The
The day
19th?
before.
The day
The
before.
the very start. So it's a 3-day
Yeah,
process, typically kind of similar to the moon, where the middle day is the most potent and, cosmically speaking, there is like a
right.
time at that day where it is exact. But due to Father's Day and just life,
Yeah.
we're doing it the Saturday before.
Yeah. So we will have, and I think no matter how hot it is, we'll have a fire. And we are pretty much planning on like we're gonna be dancing around that fire, right, Tracy?
And I'm excited. So since moving to this home, I haven't danced around my fire. It's not a fenced in backyard, Amy. it's
I'm okay. I'm
it's very
okay with
private.
that.
One of my neighbors is in her 90s and goes to bed at 6, so I know she won't notice or care. But when I was little growing up, one of our local radio stations did Saturday night at the 70s, and my parents would light a huge bonfire and we would just go and dance around it. And that's what I want to do here, but I haven't done it alone. And
Well,
so I
right.
like the freedom that this brings, and we can also celebrate. And I still have to make a playlist, but prepare for a lot of Fleetwood Mac. Like,
Oh, most definitely. Fleetwood Mac is like I feel like Fleetwood Mac is the what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's this isn't the word I'm looking for, but they're like the perfect band for like anything to do with the Fae, right?
oh, sure. Yeah, she's very witchy.
Yes, yes.
But
And then too, it's sort of cool when we think about like mid-year. It's not perfect timing, but I think of us as this podcast. This is actually episode 25. So I guess the next one would be considered mid-year, but I just like talking about it with this one. This is our 25th episode, and we posted our first episode on the winter solstice.
mhm. Ooh, I
So
wonder how that happened.
with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, that's how that happened.
Yeah, but this is kind of, I mean, not an anniversary by any means, but definitely kind of it means something to us. We've been
Right,
doing this consistently week after week
right.
and trying to build
Yeah,
something, and hopefully people have been getting as much out of it as we've been getting from each other and from creating it. And we have
yeah.
some big ideas for the second half of the year.
For the second half of the year, we sure do. So some things, even we were just talking about like if you're not sure what to do to grill out, I think it's super interesting to just kind of remind people how they have been honoring this time of year all along without possibly realizing it. Like,
Yeah, there are some really natural ways in which we carry
yeah,
on the traditions of the Wheel of the Year. One
yes.
that I'm going to be doing the weekend after the solstice is berry picking. I don't think I've ever been berry picking as an adult before, and I have a couple of friends who now have kids, right? And so they're all super interested, and I've taken up
Yeah,
baking, so I want to like make some pies or something, but I'm
I
gonna go and pick
love
some
that.
berries and try
Yeah.
and
Go.
maybe make a little ceremony out of it.
And I bet there's more people out there who do go out and pick berries, who love to pick berries. I mean, you're in your own gardens, some of you, I'm sure. So you're in your gardens, you're spending time outside, you're maybe going to farmers markets. You are having, especially this time of year, like we are opening up more right now. Uh
Becoming
Literally.
more extroverted in
Yes.
general.
So extroverted, but also as far as what we're coming, the year we're coming out of, things are lessening, restrictions are lessening. We're opening up more. You might be having cookouts now with family and friends. So I just think it's super cool. Like, just maybe next time you're at a cookout, you could think to yourself, what are my intentions for the second half of this year? Like, it, why not? So, um, this concept of opening up is just like you just said, is so synchronistic with this time of year because we're spending more time outside. We're exposing ourselves more to other people, right? Um,
Well, and like just think of people dancing around at summer concerts or,
yeah,
like those Coachella, those really big events. Like that's a
yeah,
ceremony in of itself. Like that's community totally getting together and creating an energy and
I
it's
love that.
great. And it's the
So
perfect time of year for it.
yeah, I think that we're just saying, just pay attention to your life and the world around you. Maybe regroup and move
Yeah.
forward.
If there's stuff you want in your life, if you want to manifest, if you want to make a change, if you want to achieve a goal, regardless of how you've been on, maybe you've been way more diligent in your progress than I have. This is still just a great time of year to
Mhm.
like focus in, remind yourself what it is, and then if you believe in it, try some manifestation techniques with it.
Super cool.
Really.
So
So would the
I,
universe have anything to say?
yes, the universe did, and we have seen this card before because
It's a
that's how
great card.
it's a
I welcome this card in reading.
fabulous card. It's the Four of Wands, and we like to call it the 1111 card. And it depicts two people in the foreground. There's actually more people in the background, but two people who have sort of gone through this portal. Thank you. Yours is much better. Who have gone through this portal, clearly celebrating, lots of celebration, going through this doorway, this portal, like we talked about, from one half of the year into the second half of the year. But if you notice all the flowers, and I like to think that
Great.
the wands are more than likely made of oak, right? That just came to me right
I
now.
know
So
if you see on YouTube, I just took the card away and started studying it intensely because I was like, are there acorns? Are there are there
yeah, is there
mistletoe?
mistletoe? Is that mistletoe up there?
I don't know, but I
Um,
like to believe these are also the same ones that would be used in like your May Day maypole celebration.
yes, exactly. And wands are the element, they represent the element of fire. And then of course you see lots of flowers in this. The sun is bright and high in the sky.
And to me, it
Um,
looks like a gateway.
It is a gateway.
There
It's
you
absolutely a gateway. Listen to me. It is a
go. It is a
gateway.
gateway. Good job, Tracy.
It's been being a gateway. So, yep, the sun is high in the sky. There's more people at the party. But it doesn't just have to be a big party. Like, it could be a recognition, like, this is how far I've come this year. And then to get even deeper into the symbolism, like so on the card, the white, if you see like the white robe, thank you. The white robe is spirituality. Blue is collective conscious or cosmic information. Red is passions and desires, which of course moves us into action, right? And then
Green is
yellow is the
life.
conscious thought. But this is a fabulous card for festivals, for celebrating, for
It's a coming
um,
together, right?
yes, coming together, moving through, like we said, that doorway, that portal. I love it. Whew. So
Universe.
yeah.
So what are we going
Yeah.
to talk about next
Yeah.
time?
So we're going to continue that conversation that you started last time with the new moon.
All sorts of
Um,
cycles this time of year, right?
it
There's always
is.
a
I love
cycle.
it.
You
And
always have
there's
a new something to kick off whatever it is you want to do.
I know. So this time around, we're going to talk about the full moon. So we started with the new moon, and now we're going to talk about the full moon. Um, and this,
No.
yeah. So if you're this next full moon is actually the final super moon of 2021. But if you're not listening in June of 2021, it's okay because we're hoping that this is just kind of a general aspect around the full moon and what you can expect with that. And so there you have it, Tracy.
Wonderful. Well, if this episode spoke to you or your soul, please share it with a friend. And if you have time, give us some love on your preferred platform with a rate, review, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us via Instagram and YouTube under The Brightly Podcast or via email at brightlypodcast@gmail.com.
And we hope you have a bright and beautiful day and summer solstice.